All right. Well, how you want that your phone back? You better now?
Can you hear me?
There we go. We can hear you now. Hello.
Right. It's working then.
All right. Well, it's on you, Queen. Hello.
And Ali, welcome to the No Network. What? No, you know what I mean.
That's why we can't hire her
Damn,
to.
you called on your first day. This room gonna be over the first day. Well, go ahead. How you doing? Good.
Welcome to the network. He goes film topics room. Welcome
And the Matrix done swallowed her.
to
See?
here to talk about film. Okay. Well, I'm gonna invite Ali. Ali, you take it over.
You're in a good spot right now, High, unless you plan on walking around, moving around, and all that kind of stuff.
You just go ahead and take it over.
Sit in the driveway like you normally do, Haya.
I'm already upstairs in the bed. So,
What?
Yep. So it's got to be the reception. So
You sound good now.
let's get started.
Get out the bed and hold one foot up and then hold the other arm up.
Put
Not
one
like-
foot on the toaster,
Stick your
one
phone
foot in the
out
freezer.
The window. Stick your phone
Not
out
like
the
she the
window.
old
Right,
TV.
stick your head out the window.
Y'all terrible.
They're horrible, relentless. But yeah, welcome everybody to the Music Network and No Egos Film Talk Room. I'm Ali Abdin. I'm one of the moderators here tonight. I'm a filmmaker, along with Hiawatha and my brother Roth and Auntie Jackie and Sean and Victor and everybody else that's in the room. So the topic that I wanted to bring up today, and anybody can come in and whenever, is what makes a film great. Now,
Hold on, Ali. Hold on.
go ahead, Auntie Jackie.
Tony, I'm going to send you an invite, okay? It's going to say invite up. And I want you to touch on that so you can come up on the stage. Just touch on the mic. You'll find it. Ali, I want to introduce you to Mr. Tony Terry when he gets up here. All right, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I don't see him yet, but as soon as he come up.
No, he's new to Clubhouse. So.
Okay.
So you see him with the little party hat?
Yeah. I guess he's trying to figure out how to get on.
Yeah, he'll figure it out in a minute. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to talk about was what makes a film great, and that's not to confuse what makes a film successful, because those are two totally different things. What makes a film a great film versus what makes a film a successful film are not the same at all. So that's one of the things that Hiawatha and I were talking about earlier today. As far as what makes a film great is a difference than what makes a film successful. Successful meaning box office tickets, reviews, those kinds of things. But usually, great films are not synonymous with successful films, because we have a lot of great films that don't do well in the box office but win multiple awards and get lots of accolades from Screen Actors Guild and Oscars and those kinds of things. So that's one of the things that we wanted to talk about today. What do you think, or what do you feel makes a film great versus what makes a successful film? But what we really want to focus on is what you feel makes a film great, or what makes a great film. So the floor is open for discussion, and I want to hear what y'all got.
Okay. And it would be like Monsters Ball. I feel like nobody was checking for Monsters Ball until it actually won the Academy Award, right?
So yeah, Monsters Ball. I honestly think, and this is just me personally, I honestly think the only reason why Monsters Ball was considered a great film was because that's one of the only films you see Halle Berry having sex in.
I agree.
So to
And that was
me,
a great movie.
Right.
You nasty
Wow.
dog.
First.
But to me, I feel like the only reason why it received the accolades and the awards and she got her Oscar was because that's one of the only films she decided to get naked in. And
That's a great film.
to me, it kind of diminishes the film in itself because her being naked in the film kind of overshadowed the performance of everybody and the story that it told and the things that happened in the film. So I guess that's just me personally. I feel like Monsters Ball was just okay.
Yeah, I agree. It was an okay film, and the funny thing is, I think she should have got an Oscar for playing Dorothy Dandridge. But I mean, I know that was a cable HBO movie, and she
Right.
wasn't that. But you know, not
What
for Monsters Ball.
she definitely could have got an Emmy for Dorothy because she did a great job in Dorothy Dandridge. But as far as Monsters Ball, I think that overshadowed it. You know what I mean? But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think we had this conversation before, Ali. You may remember we talked about Monsters Ball. We talked about Diane Lane in Unfaithful. Because I think she might have got one for Unfaithful. Then we talked about Denzel in Training Day versus Malcolm X. It's almost like
Right.
it's like Hollywood wants this shock factor or this somebody totally getting out of context, and to them that speaks volumes versus the movie where you really saw the greatest acting chops that they brought to the table. It's like they don't seem to give out the awards for that. There's so many movie stars that passed away from the 40s, 50s, and 60s that never, in some cases, not only did they not ever get an award, in some cases they never even got nominated.
Right, and um, like touching on the Denzel thing, like you said, for Training Day versus Malcolm X. I honestly believe the only reason why Denzel received an Oscar for Training Day was because it's the first time that he ever played a villain in a film. So now he did a great job in it, but I feel like his Malcolm X was much better than his Training Day. And Malcolm X didn't receive. Malcolm X wasn't a box office success, but the film was a great film. You know what I mean? And with that, I think with A-listers like Denzel Washington and Halle Berry, I think the powers that be, they want to see them out of character in order to feel like they're deserving of, if that makes sense. Versus them killing it at the box office in other films as far as their successful films, but they're great films. I feel like they aren't given the proper awards or given the proper, successes that they should be given outside of the money.
He was as much. He played. He was as much. Denzel was as much as Malcolm X as Jamie Foxx was as Ray Charles, and they both was phenomenal.
Exactly.
He should have gotten. Yeah.
But AC, I just feel like it was too long for that era, for that time and day. I felt like it was too long, and to judge somebody's performance for 3 hours versus somebody you can get in an hour, 20 minutes, or whatever. It's like that. For me back in the day, I just know as a kid, I remember we went to watch a movie, left our movie, came back to my parents still watching Malcolm X. Then we snuck into another movie, and then we came back into the movie almost over. So yeah, that for me, I just remember the movie being like 3 hours long, and I'm like, man, it's kind of hard to to judge or watch a movie for that long and stay in tune.
True.
Me personally
I'd
for
almost.
that time.
Political too. Sorry about that.
No, I'd almost.
It was political.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just think it was political too because the people, the powers that be that were voting, they weren't as many in the academy. Weren't as many black people that are now in the academy that can vote for the movies. Back then, it was very few black folks. But I think that they weren't ready for Malcolm. They weren't trying to see Malcolm X. That movie really got a hard time getting the last funding
Remember they went to Denzel, made donation, was one of the people that helped fund the movie. I think Magic Johnson. I think they also had problems with well, I know for a fact that Mary Baraka did not like the script that about Malcolm, because he and Spike were going at it at that time. So there's a lot of people that were against it also. And another note, Denzel became Malcolm. I saw Malcolm. We were doing Boomerang during the same time that they were shooting Harlem Night. I mean, what do you call it? Malcolm X in Harlem at the same time. And you would see Denzel, and he came up, and he was Malcolm. You couldn't even say anything. You didn't want to speak to him because he was so the character. I feel like Malcolm X came in his spirit. It was very odd to see. Like I couldn't even talk to him. Couldn't even be around. It was very uncomfortable because I feel like Malcolm X came through Denzel that time.
Yeah, that was one of the things that he said in some of the interviews that he had during that time. He said he doesn't even remember a lot of the performances that he did on Malcolm X because he felt like his body had transcended and Malcolm X had stepped into him and he was performing on that level. So he really did an awesome job in that film, and I feel like he should have gotten an Oscar for that one. And with what you said, H. Lee, as far as Ray Charles and Jamie, I honestly think it's easier for Jamie Foxx to do a Ray Charles versus Denzel to do a Malcolm. And the reason why is because Jamie Foxx does impressions on a regular. That's part of his stand-up. That's part of his show. So he embodies other people as far as real life people all the time. You know what I mean? So for me, it's not as, and this is just me, just my opinion, it's not as encapsulating as it would be for someone who is an actual actor who's not an impressionist to become someone else. Prime example, I feel like Angela Bassett should have received an Oscar for playing Tina Turner. I also feel like Lawrence Fishburne should have received an Oscar for playing Ike. But I think, just like Lisa said, they were before their time in those roles. You know what I mean? But I still feel like those were great films, and they should have received the accolades for playing those roles. But that's just me.
Most definitely. But for Jamie, he actually did method acting for Ray, and he wore prosthetic eyelids for 6 hours. I think it was 6 or 16 hours a day, so that he could know what the life that what Ray was going through. And to me, that speaks volume in itself. So
yeah, he definitely did his research. I won't take that away from him. He did wear the prosthetics and walked around.
Yeah, he was great.
Blind.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question real fast? I know it's a little. I'm going on the left a little bit. I always wanted to ask people what they thought about Tom Cruise. I always thought Tom Cruise should have won an Oscar for Born on the 4th of July. I just always thought that they robbed him.
Tom is actually a great actor. I believe he is. Born on the 4th of July, I think he did a really good job. I honestly think that the guy that played Lieutenant Dan on Forrest Gump pulled some of his Lieutenant Dan-ness from Tom Cruise in Born on the 4th of July. But
what I've said about Tom Cruise and the difference between like a Tom Cruise and a Denzel. Tom Cruise, to me, I didn't see Born on the 4th of July. I know what you're talking about with the movie, but I didn't see it. And I like Tom Cruise. But the thing for me with Tom Cruise is that Tom Cruise gives you Tom Cruise in every, to me, Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible as Ethan Hunt in the movie with him and Jack Nicholson in from Risky Business in The Firm. That's Tom Cruise versus Denzel Training Day, Denzel Malcolm X, Denzel Equalizer, Denzel. It's a difference. To me, it's a difference. He's a different person. Robert Downey Jr. different person. He's not the same Tony Stark Iron Man as he is Sherlock Holmes. I see a difference. Tom Cruise, I like Tom Cruise, make no mistake, but I just think that's a thing for me where, and I didn't see Born on the 4th of July.
So that's the only movie I said that he should have won.
Yeah.
Yo, did Brad Pitt?
Under the Vanilla?
Sorry about that. Yeah, Under the Vanilla Sky was very underrated. It was one of those films that but Under the Vanilla Sky it was more of an abstract film than an actual regular narrative film. A lot of people didn't get Vanilla Sky. You know, they didn't realize what was going on in the film, so it was hard for them to be able to track it during the movie. You know what I mean?
I liked, as to me, I saw him in a different light after watching that movie.
Yeah.
You know who else? Kind of what Ashley was saying. I think that was Ashley. Also, Tom Hanks is Tom Hanks in everything. Like when I watch his movies, the way he puts his hand on his hip, the way he talks, his expressions, just about every movie from the beginning, you can tell that's Tom Hanks. That's not, but like you say, Denzel becomes Malcolm X. He becomes the guy in Training Day. He becomes the detective in The Lady in the Blue Dress and all that.
He does, Victor, but one of the things about Denzel, which is the reason why a lot of people can imitate him so well, is he has the same tics in his films as well. He does the same rhythms. He does the same hand movements. His facial expressions are the same in all of his characters. So, you know, those are tics that actors actually have that are hard for them to be able to get out of, because it's when they're playing that character, that's when they're comfortable. You can tell when they're comfortable in who they're playing, because who they actually are comes out in the character as well. So, you know, one of the people that really doesn't show his tics as often is Lawrence Fishburne. To me, Lawrence Fishburne has played an array of characters that you can't see Lawrence Fishburne. Prime example, him playing Ike Turner. Nobody actually thinks about Ike Turner when they think about Ike and Tina. They think Lawrence Fishburne, Ike.
Because he showed us the Ike that we've never had seen before.
Exactly. He embodied that. But if you look at Higher Learning, when he played Professor Phipps, like I know a lot of people forget about him playing Professor Phipps in Higher Learning. And then you go back to Boys in the Hood when he was Furious Styles, and then you know you go to The Matrix. Like there isn't a larger spread of range for an actor than what Lawrence Fishburne has done in his body of work. If you can look at Furious Styles and then look at him playing Morpheus in The Matrix, you know what I mean? Like there's no comparison to those two characters, but he played them both. You know what I mean? Versus, you know, you can bring in any other characters out of any other movies that would be considered great versus being successful, and you can still see them inside of the characters.
You trying to help, Ike? You trying to help, Ike?
Man, that was a great movie, man. It was awesome.
Eat the cake, anime.
It was a great. But let's talk about the great comedies that don't get the awards that they should get from you know, the Oscars and the Screen Actors Guilds and all of those kinds of things. Because to me, and this is just me personally, actors are the best. I mean, comedians are the best actors because they have to do the most work for people to believe that they are a character. But that's just me.
Do they give comedies Oscars?
No, they've never given an Oscar to a comedy film ever, or a comedic actor. They have to be an actor in a dramatic in a drama in order for them to even be considered. Think about all of the comedians who've won Oscars, and the only two that I can think of right now that are of color is Monique and Jane.
Well, Whoopi Goldberg.
And Whoopi, yeah, but Whoopi played in The Color Purple.
No, but I think she got it for Ghost though, didn't she?
She did, but Ghost is still. She played a comedic role in Ghost, but Ghost was a drama. You know, and I truly believe that Eddie didn't win his Oscar for Dreamgirls because Norbit came out right before the Oscars.
Hey, I love Norbit.
And Norbit is an awesome film. It's hilarious.
Yes,
Oh,
it is.
good. No, it was good.
It's hilarious. But
Yeah, but that didn't help Eddie's career at that time
it
because
didn't.
he got nominated. When he didn't win, he got right on up and walked right on out.
He did. But I truly believe he should have won Auntie Jackie because Norbit, him doing Norbit shouldn't have had any weight on him receiving an Oscar for Dreamgirls, which he did a great
He
job.
absolutely should have won for that. But then you have a lot of black actors who should have won Oscars for their role. You know, it should not be just Halle and Denzel and now Will and Jamie. You know, you got where's Sam Jackson? And I forgot what's his name who turned to flip for the movie with you know who got arrested. Anyhow, it should be more than that. Not once a Monique. It should be more than once a century. You know, seems like.
Right. Speaking of Sam,
Agreed. I think Sam won, did he?
he won, right?
He got
He
an
won this year.
honorary one this last Oscar.
And that's not the same.
It's definitely
Gotcha.
not.
It was so overshadowed by the slap that you didn't know. I didn't know what it was. Okay.
Well, no, they weren't going to screen and show it anyway.
Oh, okay.
I know this isn't a movie or a film, but it's a TV show series. Chicago Fire, or oh gosh, hold on. I don't know if any of you guys are into horse type shows, but Heartland.
Yeah, Heartland. Those will be more Emmys though with television. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
Because those are with TV. You focused on a particular time slot and a particular audience at that time versus film. You focus on a wider range of people. You know what I mean? And the actors on television shows are, I don't want to say of a different caliber, but they're on totally different levels because they haven't made it to that big screen yet. Or it's a lot of the actors who have been on the big screen that are coming down to television are either looked at as being past their prime or they're trying to reinvent themselves on television just to give themselves a break so they can come back. So it's a lot of nuances when it comes to TV versus film.
And Hollywood tried to shut down streaming when Netflix kind of started becoming a big studio. You know, it was trying to be, well, no, you know, if it's a Netflix movie, then they can't be qualified for the awards. But that ended up failing, right?
Yeah, the film that won Best Film this year was actually from Apple. It was on the Apple TV.
Absolutely.
And they won Best Film. So what that did was that opened the doors for streaming services now to be able to win those awards. You know?
I gotta say something about what you said about Denzel. So have you guys seen this guy, Uncle Zell, this comedian that's online that does Denzel?
Oh yeah.
I saw it.
I mean, everything that Ali said is right. I mean, this guy, every nuance that Denzel does, this guy has it. It's hilarious. I love the one he did about Jada, you know, her line about what is it? Entanglement. That's hilarious.
So it's interesting you say that. Just Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp doesn't have an Oscar, does he?
No, he doesn't.
I don't think so.
He does not. But he's
No,
awesome.
he's several.
He's very awesome. He plays an array of different characters. It's not just, you know, one single. But I don't know when was the last time we've actually seen Johnny Depp in a quote unquote regular film. You know what I mean? Like, when was the last time you saw him actually play a regular character that's not that's not a wizard, that's not a pirate, that's not,
Mordecai.
Say again?
Mordecai.
Well, Mordecai was a comedy. So
what about Donnie Brasco, maybe?
Donnie, and that was in the 90s.
Yeah.
You know?
He likes those obscure, them kind of roles, right? Them left kind of situations.
He does, but that's because of the director.
Hi, Walker.
What?
Whistling. Is that your other line ringing?
Oh yeah, I paused it. I'll text you.
That's because of the director who he works most with is
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton is Tim Burton. So but the reason why they work so well together is because they're on the same plane as far as how they see creativity. You understand you know what I'm saying? So he can understand the way Tim Burton's brain works. So once he gives him a character, he knows that Johnny Depp is going to go all out for the character. And that's what creates the magic that they have, which gives them great films. It's not many Tim Burton films that Johnny Depp has been in that haven't been great films. They might not be box office smashes, but they're definitely great films, and it's because Johnny Depp is a great actor. So
this is one movie I refused to watch during all my young adult years. It's called Benny and June. Man, I mean, just awesome movie, and it's all the elements.
Was Eating Gilbert Grape? Wasn't that a regular guy?
It was, but think about What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Who was his little brother in What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
Oh, I didn't see the movie.
That's the guy that committed suicide, right?
Leonardo
Yes,
DiCaprio.
right.
And Leonardo DiCaprio is in his 40s right now. You see what I'm saying? It's been a while since Johnny Depp has played a regular role.
Well, I'm sure after this trial, we're going to see that.
He played Murder on the Orient Express.
He did. He was in Murder on the Orient Express. He was. You're right. But he wasn't the lead in that. Murder on the Orient Express actually was very good. But what's his name? I can't remember his name. He was the lead in it. The one who played the detective.
I think it was several leads in that film. It was like an all-star cast, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was an all-star cast, but the story itself was told from the viewpoint of the detective, and he directed the film too.
Oh, I can't think of his name.
Yeah, he did. He's done a lot though. He was Kenneth Branagh is his name. He directed the first Thor movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He directed Romeo and Juliet. He did Hamlet. He's done a whole bunch of things, but he actually played the detective in the film, and it was actually a pretty good film. Murder on the Orient Express was really good. I didn't like the sequel to it, the one that just came out, Murder on the Nile or whatever. That one was just okay.
The sequel came out.
Yeah, it came out. It was just okay. It was definitely just okay.
What about Cuba Gooding Jr.? I know he was in a lot of movies. I don't know the accolades that he received, but I enjoyed his movie.
Cuba actually won an Oscar for Jerry Maguire. He was the best supporting actor for Jerry Maguire. But I don't know what happened with Cuba, how he fell off. I don't know if it was because of the roles he wouldn't take or what, which is something that creates issues as well. Because like we were talking about the other day with management, when we were talking about managers and do you need a manager versus not, a lot of times once an actor reaches a certain level, their manager screens or their agent screen a lot of the stuff that comes to them. And they don't usually generally do auditions and all of those kinds of things anymore. So it limits the things that they're in once they win those awards. And if you notice, a lot of actors, after they win that award, they stop being in as much prior to what they were doing before.
So Ali, I think part of Cuba's downfall probably wasn't his acting or his management. I think it was his social life outside of the workspace. There's a lot of stories about some inappropriate behavior with females outside of the workspace.
He tried to say he was acting up.
Yeah. Oh, they definitely slap your hand if that was the case, Keith. I know he was in the news. Was it last year, a year before last, with like drunken disorderly conduct or something like that?
A couple of months ago, I just got a case.
So I mean, he earned himself the name Butt Naked for a reason.
Wow.
Wow. He got caught.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he pleaded guilty to forcible touching in a case of violating 3 women. And that was April 13th.
Of last year?
This year.
Wow.
Yeah, it just was in the news like about a couple weeks
last month or so. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. That's crazy.
He said touched a woman by, I guess he did that to 3 women in the nightclub. Some guys, when women walk by, they grab their butts.
Yeah.
And
I've seen Cuba do that.
And you squeeze breast this time.
Wow.
Guilty of the Me Too movement.
Oh, so he's one of those?
Yep.
The old Me Too movement.
Wow.
Doing it, and then he just did it to the wrong people.
Y'all heard anything about the Trey Songz situation?
I don't know. I heard him. He be out there raping women or putting them in situations.
Yeah.
They saying some pretty rough stuff about him.
Yeah, we
go back here.
Yeah, I've heard about it. Trey Songz and doing all of that crazy stuff.
So Avatar 2 is coming out. I'm sorry. I don't get the hype behind Avatar. Like, what is the deal?
Did you see it?
I saw it. Beautiful. The cinema was beautiful, but it just...
That was a good movie. That was good.
It wasn't Titanic.
I mean, to me, Titanic wasn't great, but that's just my opinion. But I understand where High Water is coming from about Avatar. All Avatar was dances with wolves, but on another planet. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Wow.
That's all it was.
Cinematography is definitely great.
I think that
basically, like you said, white guy comes in, indigenous tribes, saves indigenous tribes, becomes the chief of indigenous tribe.
There you go.
That's the story, but I think the backstory of how it got made is also super intriguing. Like, this was a film that he could not make because the technology and equipment wasn't available. So he lived out on it for like 20 years.
Right.
So he can really bring it to what it needed to be. So I think behind the scenes is super important, and what he put out, it was beautiful as far as the cinematic look of it. But yeah, I think James Cameron is just that kind of director. Like, he's not making a move unless he has everything in place.
And it definitely makes sense. I enjoyed the film myself, but it's because it was visually a beautiful film. Visually it looked great. The sound was great, and it was awesome, and the CGI was really, really good. It was a great movie as far as to watch. The story itself wasn't as strong, but those other elements made up for what it lacked in story. You know, a lot of the stuff that was done in Avatar, it was the first time ever being done on screen. So, you know, he did some unprecedented things with the film itself. But I do feel like the story could have been better. The story could have been stronger, you know. But
And was that a good movie? Does that make a good movie or a blockbuster? See, that's where it's interesting because it can be or.
And that was the question that I posed from the beginning. What makes a great movie versus what makes a successful movie? Because Avatar, until the Marvel films came out, was the most successful film of all time. But was the movie great? You know, those are I think that's left up to your opinion in gray areas, but it's also about the viewer.
I'd say another movie that I feel like was underrated was Shutter Island with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. I think a lot of people didn't understand Shutter Island, which caused it to not have as great of a reception for audiences. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we as filmmakers can be too clever and speak over the head of our audiences, and then they can't connect with the subject matter of what it is that we're putting out. You know, the one thing we want our audiences to do is to connect to the characters and be able to follow the story and move with it. You know, but if you talking over their head or if you giving them something that they can't understand, they won't get it and they won't like it.
I guess I rather enjoy it.
What is your opinion on something like Sling Blade? Like, we have differing opinions on that. My husband thinks it's a drama. I find it to be a comedy. But I don't know. Do you know other movies where it's like up in the air as to what it is based on what the public feel like it is?
I love Sling Blade.
I would definitely put Sling Blade in the drama area, but I think because of the way that certain characters were portrayed, it will be seen as a comedy. They do this. They did the same thing with Get Out. They called Get Out a comedy film when Get Out was actually a horror movie, and
Yeah, that was scary.
right, Get Out was actually a horror movie, and that's what Jordan Peele said it was supposed to be. But all of the awards that they were giving him for the film, they called it a comedy.
And Billy Bob Thornton is a really cool guy. I just thought I'd like to add that. And Joshua Lucas. They both are very nice people.
Yeah, I've never met any of them personally. I've just seen their work.
Who did you say Hiawatha was nice? I missed it.
Billy Bob Thornton. He's a drinker.
Okay, country guy.
Yeah, him and Lucas. Lucas is it Luke? What's Lucas' last name? The boy that played his friend. Because they were in Friday Night Lights and they filmed it down here in Houston.
I can't remember his name. Was it Josh Lucas or something like that?
Yeah, he's country to his core. He's sweet. And Billy Bob Thornton, he needs to go get him a black woman. I don't know why he fade the funk. But as far as and you know, Texas loves us. We love football movies. I don't know what it is about Texas, but football movies are big down here. I don't know if that's like the consensus. Like I liked Friday Night Lights, and what's that other?
Texas football was king here.
Yeah, football's a big sport down here.
The one where all the football players died, but that was with Matthew McConaughey.
You talking about We Are Marshall?
We Are.
Yes, We Are Marshall. I thought that was a great film.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was really good.
But I don't think they'll do sports movies get like the type of accolades.
Sports movies usually don't. and they generally don't make big money either. If like think about it, you got any given Sunday, they had a lot of big names in that film, but box office wise, it wasn't as successful as they wanted it to be. You had the program with Omar Epps. You had Love and Basketball, which was good in the black community, but as far as making big numbers, it wasn't really as successful as it should have been because it was a really great film. You know what I mean?
Remember the Titans? Wasn't that Denzel?
Remember the Titans? Yeah, that one.
That was good.
Yeah, it was good. But Remember the Titans also is under the Disney umbrella, so they were able to put more of the money behind it that needed to push it. And Remember the Titans wasn't as big of a box office success either, but it was a great film. You know what I mean? It's really not many films that are great films and box office successes too, if you really look at it and think about it.
But what about
Go ahead, Haya.
what about Ali? Didn't Ali do good?
It actually, in the beginning, it really didn't at first. It really didn't. Will didn't even want to do Ali in the beginning. He did not want to do it. Muhammad Ali had to actually ask him personally to play Ali, and that's when he did it. But at first, he wouldn't do it. And when the film first came out, he had said that a lot of the reasons why the film wasn't working as well or making as much money as it could have was because of the way the film was shot and the way the story was being told. And that's when he really said that it wasn't something that he wanted to do in the beginning, but Muhammad Ali asked him directly. Like he invited him to his house and said, I want you to do my film. And he did it.
So I actually liked Hurricane Carter better.
Yeah, Hurricane Carter was really good.
Yeah, that was excellent.
Hurricane Carter was really good. It was really a good film. It was really good. But I think one of the things that we don't do enough of as creatives as far as film is concerned is we don't ask the audience enough questions about what it is they actually like. We assume that the audience is going to like what we are putting out versus asking their opinions a lot about what they want to see. Because that's what's going to make a movie successful. That's what's going to make a film great. That word of mouth. The audience saying, oh, I like the film. Let's go and see it. You know what I mean?
Well, I found out today that they're doing a remake of Cooley High, and Common has already signed on for it. And I just this is I think this is the 40-year anniversary of Cooley High, and I'm just like, why? Like, why do they? I know why they do it, but I just, you're really not going to be better than the original. I can't think of one film that was better than the original, and that's just me. Y'all might know something, but
No, it would have to be a totally different film, because it's not going to be the same. That's for sure.
Yeah, not Cooley High. Certain films you leave alone. Certain films you don't mess with, and Cooley High is one of them.
Definitely. They shouldn't have done Coming to America too. Oh gosh.
Well, Coming to America 2 is a different situation. I was actually explaining this to H. Lee the other day. Coming to America 2 the ball was dropped on the production side because Coming to America 2 was a PG-13 film. But the first film was a rated R comedy. So, and this is on the business side, when you want to make a film as good as the first one, you can't tie the hands of the creator. And what I definitely would, especially with the comedians that were in the film, because all of those comedians are people who use curse words in their performances. Mm-hmm. So when you put them on screen and you put them in a box and you tell them, okay, you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't say the other, then it kind of it dumbs down their performance, and we get what we got with Coming to America 2.
I felt like it was a homage to his daughter. I felt like that was his way of giving the torch to his daughter.
Nah.
I still feel like he could have gave the torch to his daughter, but but kept it a rated R film. If he would have kept it rated R,
Mm-hmm.
it would have been so much better.
Yep.
So much better. But
And
because
also better writers. I didn't no. I didn't think the person who was director, the writer, they were missing it. They didn't have the right vibe. They were not the right people.
I
Nice
think
guy, they're corny.
didn't Kenya Barris write it?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I think Kenya Barris nice guy, but on the corny side.
Yeah, that is
I hope that's
kind
nobody's
of
friend or
yeah,
family.
I didn't
what they
like
say about it.
reality stuff. I love Blackish. I didn't like Blackish at first, but it grew on me. But and I just looked at other things like because him and like Mara Brock Akil, like that's the person I've always I really like her
Mm.
as far as because girlfriends and she had Moesha and then you go back you look at Moesha, you look at all these older shows and you see Kenya Barris's name, you see Mara Brock Akil's name, you see there's somebody else's name I saw, I think Regina Hicks, like you see all these names and you look at where they are now and you're like, oh wow, like they all were together on the same show.
Mm-hmm. Which was great, and they got that shot. But I don't know. Sometimes some people live in California or wherever. They're in the industry so tight that they don't get a chance to really hang out or absorb the other stuff that's going on to really make your stuff authentic again. Because when you're in a certain level, you have to find a way to make your stuff real authentic so it can be naturally funny. Come from your being.
Yeah.
Because they didn't remake. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Harry.
No, you go ahead. I got a text. Go ahead.
I think with writers, a lot of the stuff comes from their experience. So with Kenya, I think his stuff on Netflix would have been a lot better if he hadn't casted himself as the lead. I think
Yeah.
that played a major role in it because honestly and truthfully, the show on Netflix and Blackish are actually mirror images of each other. Just one is on a platform where they can curse and the other one isn't. Because Blackish is actually his family as well. Anthony Anderson is playing Kenya Barris's character and is playing Kenya Barris. And, you know, and Rainbow is Kenya's wife because Kenya Barris's wife, his ex-wife now, is a mixed woman. Just like the same thing with Black as Fuck on Netflix. His wife on there is mixed. So I think he was trying to recreate the magic that he had with on ABC on Netflix, but just trying to use it in a broader sense and having a more more creative freedom to be able to say and do what he wants. I did like the episode that Tyler Perry was on though. That one to me was the best episode.
Oh, I didn't finish. I didn't get to that.
If you don't watch any of them, watch episode 6.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Perry's episode on Black as Fuck. Tyler Perry basically showed you who he really was or who he really is on that episode.
I like Blackish. Yep, I do like that.
Okay,
Yeah, he definitely should have played himself.
I like mixed.
Hey, Hiawatha.
Yes.
Is Paperboy Black Jesus?
No. They
No.
look alike though.
Okay.
Yeah. I forgot that guy's name.
You sure?
Yeah.
Positive.
Okay.
They look alike though. They really look alike. What you think about Atlanta, Auntie Jackie?
Hiawatha forced us to watch that show. Now I'm invested. Now I'm invested in it. So, but that last episode, like I told you this morning, I had to keep checking to make sure I was watching the right thing.
Yeah.
But it was so funny to me, especially that funeral scene where, the lady is trying to climb into the casket, a fight break out. I mean, it was so typical of a black funeral, you know.
hmm
Then it could
So,
have.
Did you watch any of the other seasons before
oh,
you?
all of them,
Yeah.
all of them. And what made me like the show is definitely not what's your face, the creator. It was Paperboy because he's so
Mhm.
funny.
Yeah. Have you? Did you see it? Have you seen how the show's grown though, as far as the content of and the subject matter of the actual episodes?
I think the subject matter choices are amazing. You know, so I think anytime you are given an opportunity, let me see, are the replays on? Okay, won't say that. But anyhow,
You can turn the replays off, right?
no,
Yeah,
no, no, no.
Ross got it.
I just Rolf always does it because anyway. Um, anytime you can take advantage of an opportunity in television, not there, we're nowhere near where we should be as far as black writers and producers and casting agents and caterers and the whole y'all mean. But anytime you can get in there and get an opportunity, so I think he's very creative. And when Sean and Hiawatha told me he does an oddball episode like that every season, I don't remember seeing it. Maybe I fast forward or maybe I skipped that. I don't know. But I tried to watch all of them to catch up because when I watch a series, I think series build on each episode. So I think it's important to watch all the episodes. So I must have skipped something because I don't remember seeing a deviation from the regular stuff. Or I could have fast forwarded because if it was boring to me, I was definitely gonna fast forward. But the show is Paperboy makes that show, and it's funny. You can tell who has crossed over because you're gonna see him on Jimmy Fallon, and the girlfriend, his baby mama. I've seen her a couple of times, and they talk about the show. So
Yeah, she's on Deadpool, and she just got some other big show.
She was also in. She was in the movie, the Netflix film, the cowboy film, The Harder They Fall.
Right.
Yeah, she was in that too. But a lot of, especially with Atlanta, it's more. He has more of those episodes this season than he's had in any other season, Auntie Jackie. Because in last season he had the one episode where he went to the guy's house and he actually played the other character. You know the one I'm talking about, Haya?
Teddy Perkins.
Yeah. And the brother ended up shooting the other brother, and then he shot himself too.
Yeah, that was
That was
deep.
one of those weird episodes. You know what I mean? But I think he's taken advantage of the platform that he's been given to be able to bring light on a lot of things that wouldn't be able to be said in on that platform. You know?
And then that last episode of last season, I think it was Fubu, where it was them as kids. So technically they weren't in it, but it's them as kids.
Right.
When he, uh, yeah, but Teddy Perkins, that was my shit. It was so funny because I tweeted something about it, and he actually had an account set up just for Teddy Perkins. And then I think he showed up to the Emmys as Teddy Perkins.
As Teddy Perkins, yeah.
So it was just like he really threw himself into that character.
Yeah, I think they were talking about, did he win an Emmy for that one?
I don't know.
Because I know they were talking about giving him one. I know Cat Williams won an Emmy for that one episode that he was on.
Yeah, Alligator Man. But the best was
Man.
50. I'm sorry. That dude, that comedian that played the barber, that was the best episode to me. Outside of Teddy Perkins.
Yeah.
Because to the love that men have for their barber. Because I kept saying, dude, just get you a new barber.
It don't work like that.
Don't. In real life, it don't even work like that.
In real life, it does not. You got a loyalty to the people that get in your head and all of that kind of stuff. Just like you're not gonna just go to anybody to do your hair. It's the same thing.
I get my hair put in locks, so I'm pretty cool.
Well, you're not. You're the exception to the rule, right?
I'm sorry, I was texting.
Hi, Walter. I got the red bar, so I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, but wearing a short haircut, oh no, you're not bouncing around to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Because there's only certain people who can get your line right, who can get my sideburns right. And, so before I started wearing my hair short, one of my guy friends told me, he said, Jackie, at least 3 or 4 times a year, men get a bad haircut. And I thought that was the funniest thing until I started wearing my hair short. And I feel his pain. Sometimes when you go to a new barber, they raise your back hairline up or try to push back the front of your. I mean, it's a thing for real.
Facts.
Yeah. Well, I think we talked about this already too. Like, to go back to the remake or reboot conversation, I read somewhere they said let's stop remaking movies because they're trying to. I think they're planning to do a new Scarface. Like, let's stop doing that, but let's take movies that were really good or had the potential to be good, but because of production value or because of the director or even because of the casting that they really sucked. Let's remake those films. And that, to me, that makes so much more sense. But I guess from a standpoint, from a producer, wasn't they're probably like, well, this flop once, it's gonna flop again. No, you just gotta redo it. Do it right.
A lot of that also has to do with the business side of film. I was telling this to H. Lee. I think it might have been yesterday or day before. Take Warner Brothers, for example. Warner Brothers could have a big tentpole film that flops, right? But they know all they have to do is make another Batman, and they'll be back in the green. Think about it. In the last 10 years, they've had 4 or 5 Batman films, and each one of them they're going to make upwards of 800 million to $1 billion. So to them, as far as the money side of it is concerned, why would we invest money into a product that we don't know will make its money back versus something that's tried and true that we could just keep recreating, and people gonna come to the movies to see it?
Right.
Yeah, because who was it that said that? They said that all the movies. He said it some years ago, and people was mad at him for saying it. I want to say it was Lucas that said that that's all movie production people. Like, he says, in the next few years, all you're gonna see is comic book films. You're not gonna see real films. You're not gonna get any more films of stuff. No, it wasn't Mark. It was Scorsese, I think it was.
Yeah, it was Scorsese. You're right. You're right. And that was also when he said he'd never do a comic book film. He doesn't feel like they're real stories or something like that. But at the end of the day, it's the business of film. The big boys, they don't make movies because of the substance of the film. They make movies to make money. And they know which ones are gonna make the money for them, and they would rather do that than take a chance on an indie project that has great substance with a great story, because they don't know if it's gonna find its audience in theaters versus a Godzilla or a King Kong or remaking a Matrix over, or those kinds of things. It's all about the money at the end of the day.
What about like Stephen King stuff? They always, I don't know, they're making some of that stuff again. I don't know, I kind of like the second one better. never liked the second movie better, but I did that one.
You
Yeah,
talking about it?
Yes, sir.
yeah, it was. Ugh. Now the original one I loved with Tim Curry. Oh, that was the shit. That gave me nightmares. But the new one, I just have no desire to watch it because it's even more gross. And I
Yeah,
tried that book. I really did. I was like, oh shit, Steven, like this is too much. Like he's very detail oriented in the It book. And I was just like, oh, this is some bullshit. I don't need to know this much about this clown.
yeah. Pennywise or something else.
I think the remake was more so focused on the special effects.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the original was more about the story. Because
right.
they had
Speaking of horror,
Sailor.
I'm sorry. Speaking of horror, do you think that Jordan Peele's gonna make his name in the horror film, kind of like with Wes Craven or something like that? Maybe change up the horror genre game.
I think that's where Jordan lives. If you look at a lot of the skits, if you watch Key and Peele, a lot of those skits that were on the show could be transferred or transformed into horror films. Get Out was actually a skit that they were going to do on Key and Peele, and he ended up keeping it and not doing it. You know, that's where he lives, though. He lives in that space. He loves that space. So I can see him, continuing his career in the horror genre. Honestly, he doesn't have a reason to leave.
Gotcha. Because, like I said, a lot of the horror film they had to focus so much on the gore and the blood and guts or the special effects. You know, the last few was more the story of more the mental, the mind games that he was trying to go after.
Yeah, his
Films are the easiest films to get greenlit because they're cheap to make.
Yep.
You don't put A-list actors in them.
Yep.
They make a lot of money because people like being scared. People love those. People pay what, upwards $200 to go to a haunted house. Those haunted houses during Halloween.
Yeah.
Just to
But that's because with the horror films, higher, nobody goes to the horror films to see who's in it. They just go to see how they get killed.
yeah.
They want to see, which way have they figured out to kill somebody now.
So that's what our movie's gonna be in the next 5-10 years. Either horror films or comic book films.
Yeah. But I mean, with Jordan, though, the reason why his films are so good is because his horror films are more cerebral, so it plays on your mind versus the physical, way a person gets killed and all of those kind of things. His stuff is like psychological horror, psychological thrillers versus, the I'm gonna cut your head off, I'm gonna stab you up, all of that kind of stuff.
It's still horror though.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm really curious to see what Nope is gonna be about. Honestly.
I'm not, but I think that's the whole point of it because he's not even showing. Because he was at some kind of con or whatever, and he was like, I can't show you the whole trailer or something. Like I can only show you so much. He says by showing you more of the trailer, degrades whatever. Kind of.
Right, I get away to film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But he's done that with all of his films. I think he showed the most of any of his films in Us in the Us trailer. I think he showed more about any of his films in that one.
So yeah. Anybody else got any topics or thoughts about this film stuff? Any movies they like to see remade?
You were talking about low production value versus like updated films and stuff. So, did you guys ever watch the BBC Two series Red Dwarf? Like Craig Charles in it.
No, I've never seen it. Will.
It's like an old like space, like I wouldn't say drama, like a comedy, but they've set in like deep space. There's like the last human being alive, a hologram, a bloke who's been evolved from cats, and a robot called Crichton and some computer called Holly. And basically go through space 3 million years deep into deep space, coming across all these different like aliens and planets and organizations and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is like they sort of updated it much later in the 2000s. This came out in like the early 90s, and I prefer the early 90s version, which is all low production value compared to what they've done with it all now, which is all like CGI and special effects and that kind of stuff. I prefer the much older stuff.
You know what? A lot of reasons why we prefer a lot of the older stuff is because it's nostalgic.
Yes,
Not
sir.
that it was better, but it reminds us of where we were during that time and how we were feeling during that time and the things we were seeing and all of that kind of stuff, the way that our lives were. Not that the production value was better or, but it just it's nostalgic. It brings us back. You know what I mean? I
I agree, definitely.
They keep remaking Predator and Alien and the new Predators and the new Aliens and the CGI. They all look better than the old ones. But the first Predator movie is still the best Predator film that they've ever made. The first Alien film is still the best Alien film that they've ever made. And, I love Ridley Scott and what's the other director's name? But there's no way for you to duplicate the feeling that you had. The first time you watched Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator. Like it's totally different because it brings you back to a certain time in your life versus the CGI and all of the things that they're able to do with with media and all of those things now. And it just makes it different. You don't see it the same.
So how do you relate that to, like, I'm a big classic, like 40s, 50s. I wasn't born in the 40s or 50s. I was born a little bit after that. So where's my I watch a lot of black and white movies. I'm a big like Betty Davis fan. I'm a big Cary Grant fan. Where does my affection for it come if it wasn't my time?
You enjoy seeing the way those stories are told, Pastor Colette, because back in the black and white days, all of those films were formulaic, and what I mean by the production value of those films are all the same. They were all shot on tripods, and they didn't have many. They don't have any handheld shots at all. So the camera is always steady. So all of the lines are always clean. The screen isn't shaking. The camera isn't moving. If you get a close up, you're gonna get one close up on this person, one close up on this person. The acting was all it was all the same. So you enjoy that style of film.
Okay.
Yeah, you enjoy that style of film versus now. Majority of filmmakers, they use handheld shots. So, and it's to put the audience as they feel. It's to make the audience feel like they're actually a part of the film versus sitting at home watching it. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
I get it because I love. I just watched a documentary on Mae West because now you try to watch her films and they're, I guess, because she's gaining back popularity, whatever. Now you got to pay to watch her movies, and I'm like, really? This movie is 100 years old. I got to pay to watch it from it on the Prime. But one of my favorite films is Gaslight. Has anybody seen that?
I've never seen it.
It's a great movie. Yep.
It is phenomenal. And
What's it about?
It's about this woman. I don't want to ruin it because I think it's 19. I want to say 30 something, but it's about this woman. Oh, what's her name? What's that actress? Damn it! I can't think. Famous actress.
Julia Roberts.
No, older.
Oh, okay. Because I know Julia Roberts has a show, I think, on HBO or Showtime right now called Gaslight. I didn't know if any correlation to it.
No, Ingrid Bergman.
Ingrid Bergman.
Bergman, yeah.
Yes. She loses her aunt and she goes back and she finds a man. She marries this man. And he gaslights her. He makes her feel like she's crazy. He takes stuff, tells her she loses it, tells her he told her something when he didn't tell her something. And he just has this whole ulterior motive. And so I don't want to give away the ending because, somebody might want to actually go watch it, but it's really good. I really enjoyed it from the beginning to the end, and it's black and white.
By the great director, Kukor.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And there's another one called A Letter to Three Wives. That's
a good one too. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of that. A Letter to Three Wives.
I would love to remake that one. Like, I want to say they redid it with Halle Berry, but
Did they call it something else?
Yeah, I think they called it something else. Or they might, but I would love, but it would be because it was easier to make it back then because you didn't have cell phones. So now, what you have in cell phones, you'd have to change it. And I actually did. It was so funny because I wanted to, and I did a Facebook post similar to that, right? Like saying this guy on here. Matter of fact, that was my Facebook post. I say there's a guy on here that's been, hitting on me, and he's married, to a friend of mine, but I don't know how to tell him, and she's on Facebook, right? So I just did that. I had so many people in my inbox. It was hilarious.
Wow.
I had to tell him. But that's what made me just really like, man, this probably would be a good movie because so many. Is it my husband? Is it? And it's just like, no. I had to tell him like it was a social experiment, and someone was on the defense. He ain't leaving her.
Yep.
Now that was Mankiewicz, and he won an Oscar for Best Director for that movie. For Letter to Three Wives, yeah.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, and then My Girl Friday with Betty Davis. That was a good one. Like a lot of those older movies were really good. I mean, other than the fact that the black characters were always maybes and maids and stuff. Other than that, because what's the one with the Harrow brothers that dancing down the stairs? Oh, I love that scene.
I forgot the name of that one. I forgot the name of that one. But yeah, black and white movies are the foundation. They open the door for every other type of movie to be told.
Anybody else? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you good, Hyde.
Anybody else have any thoughts, concerns about movies?
Yeah, I got one. What's the one with the with the room? What's the funniest movie within the last 10, 15 years that people have seen? You think what is your all time funniest movie in recent years?
I mean, my favorite is Welcome Home, Roscoe Jenkins. And I enjoyed coming back to America. I'm sorry. I enjoy coming back to America too.
For me,
mine would have to be Life.
Yeah, anything with Eddie Murphy in it, man, is funny to me. I can watch Eddie in almost anything.
Yeah. Anybody? Woodson, Queen, Diva, Wayne, Keith. Y'all people in this room. Y'all ain't saying that. Y'all just on the stage. Jackie, Sean.
I just said Life, lady.
I'm in the gym.
I haven't seen
Sorry.
a funny movie in a long time, so I can't comment on this particular topic.
This is Wayne. I guess my additional comment to what Ali was sharing about
for us like the older films, my interest in older films is that I like the dialogue, the style of writing. I think that would really drew me. I understand about what Ali was saying about the camera angles. They were more stilled and focused on the artists, on the actors. But I really like the candid conversations, and there's just the writing style that they had, and that's pretty much my input on that.
See, that's me. You don't have to show me the sex. Just let's just see the door, and that's the bedroom. Like I don't want to know nothing else after the door.
You're saying implying it's good enough for you?
Today is everything. Like I
Right.
see you taking off your drawers. I see you putting them on a chair. I don't need to know. And it's always perfect. That's what tees me off. It's always perfect, right? And we know that ain't how it go down. Taking off your underwear, you might fall on the ground. Like, come on, show some real stuff. Bra don't come off right.
Hi.
It's Wednesday, Higher. It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
I'm just saying, show the real. All the love scenes are always perfect. It's never, it's like this great moment, and it's like, no, it's not always like that.
Yeah, I think that the dialogue, back to what Wayne was saying, and the imperfectness about what Haya is talking about. I think the dialogue in the black and white movies were different because the time was different. So people dressed in a certain way every day. People spoke to each other in a certain way every day. You know what I mean? Men wore suits and ties everywhere. It didn't matter where they were going. Ladies dressed up in dresses every day and wore hats and all of those kinds of things. So the time was different. So you had to write for that time. And the way that they spoke was, in that time. You know what I mean? Now we speak differently. We dress differently. We move differently. We walk differently. We talk differently. So that creates that different perspective of how people interact with each other. Because that's all movies are based off of. That's all film and television is based off of: human interaction with each other, or whatever your film is about. So those black and white films, that interaction was set for that period, which made the writing so much different than it is now. And created that perfect world that High is talking about. Back then you really didn't have that physical interaction unless they were showing like a fight or something like that. You know what I mean? But when it comes down to the physical part of it, they weren't going to show that. So then it had to be perfect. The clothes had to be laid perfectly on the ground, and all of those kinds of things to give you that illusion or that impression that that sex is happening or it just happened.
Me and Wayne just gonna live. Just gonna live in it. Delusion. It's just an illusion. Yeah, because remember back then, I got a red bar. They didn't even have one bed. They had two beds.
Right.
That was always weird to me. Like, why would TV shows like Lucy, you're a married couple, why do you have two separate beds? That was always odd to me. Can someone explain that to me?
Because it wasn't just Lucy. It was Gidget. All those shows.
So
I think it was a morality standard back in those days.
Right. It had to do with censorship. So with censorship, they couldn't show, which was crazy, because you could show a man smoking on television, but you couldn't show a husband and a wife in the same bed.
Yeah.
Even having when Lucy was pregnant, they couldn't
Right.
that too much.
Right.
Right. They couldn't be in the same bed. It was against the CDC regulations and stuff.
And quiet as it kept, but I know because I counsel people, there's a whole lot of couples that sleep in separate beds. Oh, today.
Wow.
Yeah, right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I know people that sleep in separate parts of the house. So
Yeah.
works because when boom boom time, they get together for boom boom time and they go back to their corners.
Wait, and that actually made me think about something else. Um, when it comes to evoking emotions and feelings or triggers, how much does film play a part in relationships between people when you're watching an actual film with your significant other or whoever, and the situation that's going on television or on the big screen is actually a situation that you're going through with your significant other or whoever? Does that cause you to have more um, anger behind the person, or does it cause you to think about what it is that's going on between you all for you all to have a conversation? Like, what y'all think about that?
That's a good question.
Yep. Oh, this is beautiful. Yeah, because what was that? It was something I was watching. It was like this couple did a skit, and she took him to the. I think he was having what do you call that? Um, erectile dysfunction or something, and then the character was having it, and the dude got upset because he felt like she showed him that on purpose. It was something I was watching. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. And the reason why I ask is because as a creative, we try to create real life situations for people to watch so they can connect themselves to those characters. Um, to cause those types of conversations after the film is over, because that's when you know when the film is good or you were actually invested in the film. When you sit down and you talk to somebody about it afterwards, you know what I mean? And that's one of the things that I try to do when we write, is to make sure that we're creating the most realistic situation as possible for people to be able to relate to it, and that's what causes that human interaction again. You know what I mean? So I just like to know how people feel about when they actually watch those things on film. Does it actually move you? Does it create and evoke that emotion for you to be able to have that conversation or talk to your significant other or talk to somebody else about what you're going through? That kind of thing.
I mean, what was it? What was it? The Hate You Give? I think that people end up having a lot of dialogue behind that, and then we see how Wakanda, Black Panther affected everybody. Um, and then Batman, like the second one after that dude shot up the theater, didn't that one like have some issues?
You talking about I think it was either Batman Begins or The Dark Knight when they did that.
Yeah, weren't people scared to go to the theater to see it or
Yeah,
something?
they were.
Dark
They
Knight.
definitely were.
Dark Knight, yeah.
Yeah, that was a Dark Knight. They definitely were. I mean, it didn't really affect the box office numbers. It still made over $1 billion, but in the beginning, people weren't going until they realized that it was safe.
How safe do you feel? I guess. I guess the question is like, what film impacted you the most? Is that the question?
Not necessarily the most, but when you are watching film, does it have any impact on you emotionally at all? Because some people just watch movies just for the entertainment value of it, but most people watch film to become emotionally invested in the characters. So I'm just curious to know how many people are triggered by what they see on film or on TV, you know, as far as their relationship. Go.
I am. Whether it's a relationship or, it can be very triggering to me.
Yeah.
I can say I'm
Afternoon.
the opposite. I'm more of the only movie that really really got me and made me be like emotional during was the Passion of Christ. Other than that, I don't watch anything. It don't matter if you die, you dead.
30 seconds, I don't care. But Passion of Christ kind of got me for real. But that also could be because I went to see it with a whole bunch of church people, and how they do.
Don't be blaming it on
Pastor Colette, I'm being for real. Like this lady, like the part where they was beating them. This lady, she just screams out in the middle, "Stop beating her!" Damn, it's a movie. If you don't shut the hell up.
The best man? That last one?
Best Man Holiday.
When she died, I couldn't
Yeah.
take it. I couldn't take it. I cried.
This girl got up in the movie theater and was running out of there crying. Like, I had not ever seen that in a theater before. And I don't know if like she was crying because maybe either she was experiencing cancer or she just lost somebody that had cancer, but that was like, and I think like to see her crying like that for some reason just made me cry because I was like, I felt whatever it was that she was going through, and I didn't know what she was going through. But yeah, that was the one.
It was Set It Off for me.
Oh yeah, in the end, those ends.
Yeah.
Which part, Keita?
The part when Cleo got shot, and she was like, "Stop!" I was like, "Oh my god!" She said, "Stop!"
I can't.
Yeah, that's the one.
The two songs from both of those scenes, whereas it's Day After Day, that still makes me cry. And Though I'm Missing You by Brandy.
Yes.
Both of those still make me cry to this day because of Set It Off. I can't hear it without thinking about watching that film because I was invested in their story because they were just four women just trying to make it, and then it went left. And it went left bad. So yeah, I understand that part completely, man.
Oh, and when Paul Walker died in Fast Furious, and they played the "It's been a long day without you, my friend." That song, I actually played the song in a tribute to my friend who she had just passed, and I didn't even realize it. I was just boom.
See, that's the difference between I'm a book person. Movies are pretty communal because even if you're watching a movie by yourself, you are kind of technically watching movies with other people because other people are. But when you have the book in your hand, it is very intimate. It is just you and the page, which is something that I like. So whatever these emotions are, they're just between me and the writer. Like I'm not sharing those emotions with other people, which is probably why I don't really. I'm not a big film person at all. I'm embarrassed that I like you, Ellie, and I have probably seen 5 movies in the last 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. But I read 5 or 6 books a month, so I'm a book person. But it is that intimacy of the book that I like, as opposed to the communal. Because again, even if it's just you watching by yourself, there is a community of watchers in a film. There's never just a person.
How do you feel about books being turned into films?
It rarely is it done well. Rare. Now, what was good, and I saw was James Baldwin when If Bill Street Could Talk. I'm a big Baldwin fan, and one of the reasons why his estate never gave anybody the rights to make any of his novels into movies because they just didn't think it could be done well. But this was done well. But for the most part, the movie is so bad, and it doesn't make people go back to the book because the movie was so bad. Why would I go to the book? And everybody's like, "Oh, but the book is so much better." The book is 100 times better, but nobody's gonna go read the book. So the movie just messes it up for the book because nobody did read the book.
I'm glad because that movie made me fall asleep. I could not get into it.
If the talk?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Regina King won her Oscar for.
Yeah, I just didn't. Because I started watching the first and I was like, okay, no. But I'm glad I wasn't the only one. Glad I wasn't the only one. Oh no, I loved it because that is because and the book is so good. James Baldwin's writing is so precise and so emotional. See, I'm not the I want to see stuff. I want to feel things, and words can make you do. Words can, and as Ali says, what the writers are looking for is a way to connect you with a feeling, connect you with emotions, connect you with something. Um, and that's what Toni Morrison does. That's what really great. That's what Shakespeare does. It, so you don't actually have to see the building blow up, but just tell me, set the scene for me, and then let my imagination. And that's also what I like about books because I can use my own imagination. You don't have to tell me everything that happened, and pretty much give me every feeling that I'm supposed to feel when whatever it is happens. In the book, I can kind of like the books don't have to end in a certain way. The ending can be kind of fuzzy, and then I can fill in my own ending, which then heightens my own creativity. You know,
Man,
Y'all
books
know
are.
what?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Y'all know what other movies that kind of had me choked up a little bit? I have two of them. Now, the first one, y'all won't think I'm kind of silly. So the first one was The Lion King when when Mufasa's brother killed him, and the second one was Crooklyn when the mama died,
Amen.
and the little brother went up to his sister and held her hand and started playing with her hand. Like that part right there, just oh Lord, just did something to my heart.
Right. So you got to think about in films not just the situations that's happening, everything that's going on while you watching it that's making you feel a certain way. The music that's playing at that time is playing that way for a reason to make you get emotional. The dialogue itself at that time is the words that's being said and the visuals that you are seeing are all coming together to make you feel a certain way. You know what I mean? To make you connected to the character, like Pastor Colette was saying. That's to
That makes
give you
sense.
that's to make you vested. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
like I
know.
never, I never thought about it like that because when, yeah, like now that I think about what you said, when the little boy came and held his sister hand, and I remember like in the movie they couldn't really get along. You know what I mean? Like kind of like siblings. They got along like
Mhm.
siblings, fighting and stuff. But when he held her hand, that's just oh my god.
Yeah, and they showed their hands together, right? Like his hand touching her
Yeah.
hand, but you would see his face. That was to make you emotional.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's
yeah, because in some directors, somebody said something. I don't need something that's gonna make me cry. I need something that's gonna make my audience cry.
Yep.
hmm.
Cause I want to convey that feeling. H. Lee, you was trying to say something?
Yeah, I was wondering, being you touched on, songs and music to make the audience feel a type of way and such. How is that usually selected? Like, in other words, um, how is it depending, whether they, in the movie, if it's a comedy, they decide to go old school music or whatever. Like, how is it usually determined what music and what will go where, that kind of thing?
So generally, in the beginning, when the director has a vision for the music that he or she, I'm sorry, wants to be in the film. Now, what a good director does is they hire a music supervisor, and what they do is they go through all of the scenes that are going to be those major emotional scenes that they know they're going to need music for, and they explain to the music supervisor the feeling and the emotion that they are trying to convey at that time. And the director gives the music supervisor examples of songs that would be played there or songs that they would want to be played there. And then the music supervisor goes out and finds the songs that would fit perfectly with the scene, or they get whoever is doing the score for the film to score that scene with that sound to enhance the scene to make the emotions come out. But it all starts with the director and the director's vision of the actual film itself while they going through the pre-production of it.
So
Because
like, so like in the case of Staycation, did you hire a music supervisor, or you being the music director, you had the vision of what you wanted, so you just therefore went to bots and was like soundtrack and this, that, and the third, and did it all fall on you, or did you hire a music supervisor? How did that play out?
So Boss has been a music supervisor with on all of our stuff, but I know I know we didn't need a music supervisor because we know exactly what we want. So all I did was I called Boss and I said, "Hey Boss, I need this sound for this scene," and he said, "All right, here, use that, or take this, or I'm gonna give you a certain amount of songs that fit that, and then you can pick from it." So with us, with Staycation, we knew exactly the sound that we wanted. So that's when I hit Bots up and I tell him this is what we need, and then he shoot me what we needed.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, but you got to have that vision first. When you creating a film, you have to understand that the music is just as important as the words that are being said.
So you kind of kind of like when as you coming up with your story and such, you kind of hearing the music playing along with your.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely. Most definitely. Because the music is what sets music carries the mood. Music sets the tone. Music creates the transition from one scene to the next. That's why whenever you're watching a sitcom, or whenever you're watching a television show, or whenever you're watching a film, at the end of each scene, when it's transitioning to the next scene, more than likely you're going to hear some kind of sound. Either it's they call it Foley sound, which is the ambient sound outside. You'll hear the streets, you'll hear birds chirping, you'll hear something that's transitioning you from one scene to the next to make your mood change. Or you're going to hear music that's going to transition you into the next scene, for you to know, one, that the scene is changing, and for you to know, two, that you're going to carry that mood that you have into the next scene that's possibly going to change, but it's supposed to inform you once it goes into that next scene.
So then, how do you come up with like one of my favorite movies, a Claudine, where you can't even separate the movie from the soundtrack? Because when I think about the soundtrack, I think about the movie. When I think about the movie, I think about the soundtrack. That's how close together, and how you can't even have the soundtrack without. Well, can't have the. Well, you can listen to the soundtrack, but you're still thinking about the movie.
So what it is, Pastor Colette, is the same thing you said with Claudine is the same thing you think about with Shaft, right?
Right.
And what they did was they used the soundtrack to the film to present the character to the people when they're advertising the film. You know what I mean? And what that did was it put you in a certain mindset when you heard that song, right? So when you hear that song, you're into the movie. You invested in the character. That's why when they first started doing Claudine, or when they first started promoting Shaft, they promoted them with the songs, with the title songs, because they wanted you to feel a certain way about the character before you even watch the film. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, who is the man who do whatever for his brother, man? Shaft. So that means when you went to the movies, you were already rooting for Shaft. You were already in that mindset.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. So it goes along with it. Those, especially with soundtracks. Soundtracks for films are supposed to put you in the mood of what the film is supposed to make you feel like. Like, think about the movies that are more recent, like Boomerang. With the Boomerang soundtrack, that was one of the best soundtracks for a film that has ever been created. And I mean from beginning to end. You think about the Soul Food soundtrack. You think about not Waiting Exhale. What was the other one? The Toni Morrison book with Whitney Houston in them. Waiting to Exhale. Waiting to Exhale.
Yeah.
The Waiting to Exhale soundtrack. those the soundtracks informed the audience about the mood you were supposed to feel about the film. It put you in that mindset, it put you in that place. It gave you the feeling of how the characters were supposed to be feeling inside of those moments when they were on screen.
But now talking about soundtracks now versus original score versus you going out and securing, already established songs, you could be eating up your budget. Is that right? Or is not as
You,
bad as you think?
you can, but you also have to understand the songs that you want before you even start to produce your film. So what you do is you have to contact whoever is doing or whoever has the rights and the licensing to those films. The same thing that producers would do for samples, and you contact the licensing agents or you contact whoever is over that for that artist to find out how much it's going to cost for you to be able to license this song for however many seconds you're gonna have it in the scene, and how much it'll cost you. That way you'll know how much you need to budget in your budget for those things. Versus you could also pay a composer to compose the actual score for you, and that's already budgeted in your film. But what you want to do is you want to have budget. You want to have a budget for someone to score the film, and for you to be able to go out and license music as well, especially for relevancy in for people that's watching it.
I want to see The Coldest Winter Ever made into a film.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Allegedly, Jada Smith has the, and I always thought she was saving it for when Willow got a certain age, and then she was gonna do it with Willow playing Winter. But I think Willow's too old now, and then she just doesn't fit the aesthetics of Winter anyway now.
Who would you want to play Midnight?
Well, it would be different now because it would have to be younger characters, and I'm sure it'd probably be somebody from Snowfall, or BMF or whatever. But back then, I wanted it to be Anthony Mackie.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Anthony Mackie is, and you from New Orleans?
I know. It's New Orleans.
Keita, stop it.
Anthony Mackie is the Falcon from the Marvel
Falcon and the Winter
film.
Soldier.
He also played Tupac.
And he's a bit of an asshole too.
Yeah, I've heard that as well, Auntie Jack. I've heard that as well. Have you seen?
I'm talking about in person. I met him.
Yeah,
a bit of an asshole.
Right.
In a uber private event, so everybody in there is somebody, and he was acting a straight ass.
Yeah, I've heard that he is that way, Auntie Jackie.
But I still have my book Howard. I still have The Coldest Winter Ever. I kind of want to read it again.
Yep, I read that book like twice.
And I've never heard about that. What's it about?
The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah, it's old. It's one of the first urban books, like first hood books. What we used to call it. We used to call it street lit.
Mm-hmm.
It was about a young lady. It was about her family was drug dealer. Her dad was a drug dealer. It was about her coming of age.
Mm.
It's a really, I don't want to ruin it. I don't like ruining stuff. And if I tell you I'm going to ruin it, then I'll say I'm going to ruin it. But, I wouldn't want to ruin it. That's a really good book.
And they never made it into a film?
Well, like I said, Jada brought the rights to it.
Mm.
Her and Sister Soldier were close. I don't know if they're still close now, and she always told her that she wanted to make that movie. So, I remember we supposed to have an event with Sister Soldier some years. That's when I first talked to her, and the mayor at the time was this white man, and he got went and my boss was white, and it was so funny because the other lady, she was white, and she was like, "Yeah, girl, I want Sister Soldier, just bring her." And we had everything set up. She wanted 5G. She wanted, and she was, it was Sister Soldier. And then they got wind if that's who we were bringing, and I just got an email one day saying we need to stop this. We can't have her, and that's it. And I was like, well, why? Well, you can't ask me any questions.
Mm.
And so that's my younger days. If that shit happened today, I'd be like, bitch, why? Like, what? You have to explain to me why she can't be here. But yeah,
You gotta be so hostile, all right?
it didn't come, I had to learn you have to be that.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the angry black woman, but shit, fuck it. I'm at that point now. I'm angry. I'm black. I'm whatever. Just get it done.
Wow.
Right.
But I still want that. I still want to see it made. I think it would just really, because I would have liked to see probably maybe Kyla Pratt play Winter back in the day, like when she was doing 101.
Yeah, Kyla, she a little too old now.
Yeah, she's too old for it now. Marseille Martin is. I think she could be a little hood, but I don't think I want to see her in that. Like, I think that would hurt her. I think it would hurt her career a little. You know.
She's gonna have to transition at some point though. If she's gonna want people not to see her as a kid anymore, like right now she's 15, so she's in that age range where it's gonna be hard for her to find roles unless she's writing them or she has somebody that's writing them for herself.
Yeah, and that's what she's doing. She's killing the game. She ain't worried about none of that.
Yeah, I know she just got a movie with Omari Hardwick and somebody else. I can't remember the name. I can't remember who else is in it, but he plays her dad, and it's something that's supposed to be coming out, I think, next year or something like that.
So yeah, it would have even Yari. Am I saying her name right? The girl from Grownish.
Yeah, she too old now.
Well, I mean, she plays young.
Yeah, I couldn't see her reversing her career to play a younger kid though. Playing somebody that young.
So yeah,
'Cause she's in her 20s.
so I can't think of any other actresses in that age range that would. We better have to just do a casting
Yeah,
and find somebody unknown.
you might need to research it higher and see how you could get them rights, and then we could do something.
No, I don't think Jada's giving that up.
He doesn't have the rights. Sister Soldier has the rights. Jada never bought the rights. I'm in the book world. If you have the rights, you have the rights, and usually it's not a forever. It's got a beginning and a middle and an end.
Certain amount of time, right?
Right, certain amount of time. And she never. It's easy to research. She never owned the rights. Sister Soldier still owns the rights. So.
No, but I thought she optioned it because she actually interviewed her and they talked about it.
Right, but that doesn't mean that you still don't own the rights to your book. You can. That's what you usually do. You go out. If you have a big publisher like Simon and Schuster or Penguin or whatever, you see a lot of different people. You see as many people as you probably can, and you negotiate and you make a deal and you pick one.
Yeah, but if she, from what I read, and like I said, but that could have been back then.
How long ago was it, Hyatt?
Huh?
How long ago was it?
Oh, it's been years, and you're right. Options do expire.
Yeah, her option might have run.
But
this was around 2000, what, 11, 10, 11. This was a while ago. Yeah.
I remember I lived in this apartment complex, and it was the first time I just really lived like in a hood type. Because when I went to these apartments, they were good, but then at night I found out something completely different, and I would not ever forget. And I'm the type of person, I go in my house, I go to my car, I go to work, I go whatever. I don't make friends. The neighbors, that's them. And I remember listening to these. There was a bunch of single mothers in this complex, and they were the messiest of the messiest. They be laughing with each other, talking with each other, then sleeping with each other's boyfriends or whatever. And I remember that my neighbor was a young lady. She wasn't bad looking, but she had a laser eye. And I remember hearing her say that she wasn't nothing. Like this was in the middle of all these other women. And she's like, I ain't nothing. I'm not gonna ever be nothing. This is my life. I mean, just tearing herself down. And I had my window open and I'm hearing this. And all the women around, not one of them said, don't think like that. You're not gonna be it. They all was like, girl, yeah, like they co-signing this woman tearing herself down. And the next day, when I walked out and I saw her, and I said, look, don't ever believe that. And I gave her that book, The Coldest Winter Ever. And every time she saw me, she said, you got a new book for me? I would just get books for her, just give her books. I'm like, you can change your mentality. Don't believe that that's who you're gonna be. Because I used to ask, I said, do you read? I said, you need to start. She's like, I can't read nothing. Like, books are boring to me. And it was that book that made her start reading. So I hope it changed her perspective on her life because I hated that. To this day, that still messes with me. And I moved out of that apartment 1 month later because I was not going to have my daughter in that type of environment. I broke all kinds of leases, but I didn't care. So
Sound like you need to be contacting Sister Soldier.
I don't know.
She passed. Did she?
Did she?
I think so. Who's? No,
I
wait.
don't think so.
No, wait a minute. Who's that was married to KRS?
Oh no, you talking about Miss Melody?
Oh, right. My bad.
Boy, let me see my email. I'm not really.
You got direct connection to her.
That was years ago, though.
Is Marquita still in the room?
I think so.
Yeah, she is.
I don't see her. Why do Dre got two pictures in the room?
I only see one for Dre.
Something wrong with your phone,
But
Maybe I better PTR.
Keita is definitely here. Well, I'll picture there. I don't know if she.
I see. Keita, you here? Keita!
You and Keita smacked you.
I'm not here.
Keita was crunching on something. She was crunching.
I'm so hungry. You guys, this morning you heard me in the dentist. I have to get my braces back on. So I haven't ate since this morning. And so I'm over here eating pizza in little bitty chunks. Because that's the best I can do right now.
Yeah, it was a rumor that she had passed. So I see where you got that from.
Yeah, I thought I did hear something, but yeah.
No, she's alive though. She's 58. She's alive. But did anybody ever read her book? No disrespect, her autobiography.
Didn't she used to date Drake too?
I don't know, but I know in her book she was talking about how she was sharing a dude. She went to the woman and she wanted to share this dude. She's like, because it didn't make sense. Excuse me. For her to be fighting over this, fighting over him when she was like, he gonna do what he gonna do anyway. I'm in love with him. You in love with him. Let's just share him. And I was just like, what? And now, because this is back in the day. This is what 2000 whatever. So this is before now. Like now they got poly and all that other crap. And I was just like, you idiot. But and she was talking about how she made it work and how she understood that when he was with her, he's with her, and then when he was with the other chick, he's with the other chick, but she didn't press him. But he ended up eventually leaving her for the other girl because the other girl just she couldn't accept it.
That sounds like a good movie. I might go see that movie.
So
I just want to know how it worked.
And it was her autobiography. Because she did like 3 books about midnight.
Well, come on and write the book, Haya. I mean, the movie.
I'm going to email her and see if that email I got still work and ask her like what's going on with her books. Is somebody's, Cause I mean, she got several books. She would be like a perfect like Netflix type deal. Cause she has several books. I know Megan is supposed to be doing some movies. It might be something. Look into that.
Were
I
all
can
of her
see
books
Coldest
connected?
Winter Ever.
Yeah.
Sorry, Blake. I was saying I could see Coldest Winter Ever as a series, broken down into a series like
Yeah.
Power.
'Cause
I did read the book. I love that book.
oh, that's her newest book. She got a new book, Life After Death. Oh, I'm about to check that one out. Came out last year. Yeah, Coldest Winter Ever came out in 2000. No, it came out in 1999. And No Disrespect came out in 1994. She's had two books within the past 10 years. A Moment of Silence. But you know, like they're producers now, like they're doing this thing where producers are going on Amazon's self-published list and pulling books from the self-published and making movies out of those books. So that's what what's his name? He said to do that. He did that movie Jingle Jangle.
Jingle Jangle.
What's his name?
That's David E. Talbot.
Yes. I was in one of those Zoom meetings with him, and he was talking about like that's the thing now that producers are going to the Amazon self published because he said some of those books, you know, the stories are good. They might not be written well, but the stories are good, and it's enough to take it and turn it into something. And then they're easy to get the rights to, and they're usually pretty cheap to make.
Is that when they call something when they say it's an adaptation? Is that what they're referencing? Something that they took and built off of?
Yeah. So adaptations are taken from books, or taken from short stories, or taken from other works, written works, and they adapt it for the screen. So they create the actual screenplay, and then they shoot it as a film from that literary work. So that's what it means. That's what Spike Lee won his Oscar for the Black Klansman, because the Black Klansman was an actual book, and he adapted the screenplay for TV, for a film.
Wait, Spike Lee won an Oscar? That wasn't.
He sure did.
He won an Oscar for best adapted screenplay for Black Klansman.
And I didn't think if Spike was going to win an award, I wouldn't have thought that. Because, I mean, Black Klansman was okay. I liked it, but
Yeah, he surprised me though, Auntie Jackie, when he got on stage and he was jumping up and down the way he was jumping up and down, and he hopped on whoever the producers was, and they were holding him in the air and all that. I was real surprised that Spike acted that way.
especially since he always had a negative attitude towards Oscars.
Yep. That really surprised me when I saw that. I was really surprised.
So who are they gonna?
Well, Will too, really, because remember how him and Jada picketed a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I think that was it last year? Year before last?
Year before last. So I always thought that Denzel's son should be the next Black Panther. I think he's very talented.
John David.
They're grooming him too. They're grooming him.
It would make sense. And that's like full circle. Like he gave the world Chadwick, and Chadwick opened the door for his son. Circle of life.
Sometimes some of John David's performances seem forced to me. Sometimes though, not all the time, but sometimes his performances seem forced. Have you seen what's the one on Netflix with him in Zendaya?
Oh no, the black and white one.
Yeah.
I heard about it.
It was actually pretty
Ali,
good.
how'd you feel about that? How'd you feel about that?
it was too. I felt like it was too long. It could have been shorter, and they kept reiterating the same thing over and over and over again. You know, they never reached a consensus. For me, they were always at odds, and I thought Zendaya did a hell of a job. She did an awesome job. I felt like the writing was a little too pretentious, though. It was a little too preachy, because when you in an argument with your significant other or your girlfriend, you're not using SAT words. I mean, let's just be real. You're not. You speaking like regular people in a regular conversation, in a regular argument. Your brain isn't even firing to pull those big words out of the air to have those kind of condescending conversations, because they were hurtful to each other. But the words that they were using, wasn't synonymous to how people in an actual relationship argue. You know what I mean? So, but I felt like it was shot well. And I felt like the acting was actually really good. I think Zendaya killed it. John David did a good job. So, but that,
Yeah, I definitely agree. It could have been shorter than what it was, but it was definitely a good film.
yeah,
I'm a huge fan of Issa Rae. Love everything she's in. But that Photograph, that movie was trash.
yeah, Photograph was trash.
And I don't think it was because of her. It was because of Lakeith.
Lakeith is getting a little out there though.
He's just weird.
Yeah, but his true colors are shining. That's why who he really is he's able to be now that his name is starting to be bigger. Um, I would like to see Issa play somebody other than herself, though. I think that's my biggest issue with Issa. Everything she's in, she's her. So it's hard for me not to see Issa, and I don't know if she has the range to be able to do that.
Well, like I said, fun for everybody black. So
Yeah, not that I don't like her, because I actually like Issa. I think she's a really, really nice person. You know what I mean? And she's true to who she is. I just want to see her as an actress to be able to play some other characters other than the awkward black girl.
Right.
If that makes sense.
well, it's 9:08, so I don't know how much longer you plan on doing this. But
Oh no, I'm good. I love everybody in the room, but we can go ahead and boom it if y'all ready.
my bedtime is 9:00.
Wow.
I can
Enjoy the conversation, though.
Yep, this is fun.
Great room.
Yes, ma'am.
Learned a lot.
Thank y'all for
Learned a lot.
thank y'all everybody. Appreciate y'all for showing up.
And not to get technical, it's 5 minutes talking about movies, what we love.
Yep.
Well, Haya, you going to close it, or you,
I was
Ali?
going to like to you, since you're in the room.
My mouth is hurting. I tried to eat some pizza and I just ended up swallowing most of it because to chew it was too much. So
I hope you feel better.
Yeah.
I ain't bad. This is the second time around. I feel like taking the hammer and knocking them out, but hey,
How long you got to wear 'em, Auntie?
2.5 years.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to do Invisalign?
No, because my periodontist, I had gum disease for a minute. He doesn't want her to go fast, and he definitely didn't want Invisalign. So I get the regular train tracks. She wanted to do these 3D ones, but they would have taken a month. Plus, they would have did it quick, and he didn't want them quick. So there you have it.
Yeah.
All right. So it is little after the hour. This is the Music Network and No Egos film edition hosted by Hiawatha and Mr. Ali. We'll be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern through noon. Same bat time, same bat channel. If you like what you heard, go up there and tap the little green house. Tomorrow, Thursday. Yep. So, and tomorrow we'll have the legendary Mr. Bob Sumner's Music Network and No Egos Comedy Edition. You guys have a good Wednesday. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your family. Remember that tomorrow's not promised, so live like nobody's watching you. Okay? Enjoy yourself. And remember the blessing. Huh?
Well, fuck them up while you got the chance.
This is true. And remember the blessing is in the giving. And if you rob a bank, send me some because I need some money. All right. Counting it down 10, 9, 8, 7,
Y'all in the
6,
morning. Y'all
5,
be blessed.
4,
Yeah.
3,
You bless my
and
brother.
4,
You bless my
Trini.
sister. You
2
bless
is for peace.
wherever.
1 is for one love and one God. We out this thing. Good night,
And little
y'all.
finger.
Peace. Up in the middle. Goodbye. I'm out really.